Hi, I'm Alex Stutchbury and welcome to part 2 of my art class techniques video about Impressionist painting. Today we're going to put the skills we learnt last time into practice, and what better subject matter to use than the Thames Barrier, a subject that actually people like Monet but also lots of other famous artists like Vincent van Gogh came to London to explore and do their own work from. Let's quickly familiarise ourselves with our objectives.
Do I know why Monet and the Impressionists painted in their unique way? And can I replicate their style to create my own atmospheric pieces?
Now in part 1 we were looking at a picture called Impression Sunrise, one of Monet's most famous and original works. And he always used the inspiration of the amazing hazy lighting on a morning or evening on a river that was set in Le Havre, but he also came to London and did a lot of pieces focusing on the Thames and Big Ben. So I thought, why not use the amazing inspiration of the Thames Barrier behind me to do my own piece and put all of our skills into practice. So last time I showed you how to use those Impressionist techniques. This time we're going to put these into our own work.
So I went out early one morning to get that hazy sunlight as the sun is rising over the Thames Barrier. Remember, with this piece we're going to use those 3 primary colours and the white again. So to begin with, let's get those quick early washes on, just base colours representing both the kind of the warm sunrise on the left hand side, but also the sort of blues and the darker tones on the right. So that's how your base wash should look like. Then it's time to start applying the acrylic paint on top. So to begin with, mixing up the cadmium and then using a lot of the crimson and white in there to get varying degrees of orange, applying those on as a base background and a little bit in foreground reflection, and also then applying some blues in the sky and its reflected colour on the bottom edge on the right hand side. Consider using complementary colours where possible, because they will make each colour stand out more. So if you look in a lot of their work, there's often blues and oranges, say of the sunset against the cold shadows of buildings, but actually they are opposite on the colour spectrum, and so they stand out from one another. So applied closely together, it helps give that slightly dynamic 3D look to it. So try using some of those kind of techniques and that skill duos of the complementary colours to your advantage. So to begin with, although they are metallic structures for Thames barriers, I'm applying this kind of reddish colour first because it's reflecting that warm sunlight. Then on the further edges of each of the barriers, the furthest side from the actual sunlight source itself, I'm applying a sort of more bluish purple layer. So it shows a bit of a range, but it still has that warmth to the actual barriers themselves. Then underneath in their reflections, remember those impressionist skills, so little flicks, little dabs, trying to represent the ripples in the water. So no solid shapes, because otherwise they will look like they're actually physical solid objects, but it's more just little flicks to represent the shimmering light and shadow on the watered surface. Other little details in the background, on the right hand side, some pale blues, on the left more a kind of pinkish red. They're details in the London scene in the distance, but of course just subtle, much paler because they're in the distance, they're not as sharp and clear. And then also more darker, precise details, the rippling of the sand in the foreground, and then I'll also add some detailing of some exposed stones and pebbles on that left hand side. Finally, we're going to apply the really bright, vivid white, or maybe just off-white, a tiny bit of yellow into the white shine of that sunlight and reflection underneath. That's why you put a base wash on at the beginning, so you don't actually have any white paper showing, and so this will stand out most of all. And so there you have it, that final piece showing a nod to Monet's Impression Sunrise.
So there you go, an impressionist style technique. Give it a go with one of your own photos. It can be such a rewarding style. You don't need loads of detail, but it can be very atmospheric. The impressionist style is such an amazing one to try. So give it a go, but it may take a bit of time and practice to get it how you're wanting to. If you want a quick reminder of the tips, have a look at the slide just before the end of the video. But otherwise, give it a shot. I look forward to seeing how you get on. My name's Alex Stutchbury. Goodbye.